Welcome to the Sacred Legacy Podcast. I am Anthony Richey.
And I'm Kate Brown, and here we are elevating stories of God's hand in ordinary lives.
That's right. What's going on, sis?
Oh, just feeling like a mess here, but we made it right before we got on camera, or right before we came out. I was getting ready, and I accidentally mixed up my eardrops and nose spray and snorted vinegar and alcohol up my nose, so feeling really good.
And also misplaced headphones. So
I'm very together tonight. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited. I'm not really going to say a lot about what's been going on this week because we are going to have our first guest this week. So I wanted to do a quick intro before we brought him in.
Right.
And before we started this episode, I was listening to some music, and it's a song I really love. So in the words of the great philosopher Macklemore, in the song Glorious, he said, "I heard you die twice, once when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is the last one, or the last time somebody mentions your name."
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking about this a lot because of some of the things that we've discussed on the show and some of the things we're going to discuss today. As we continue to get older, it's inevitable that we're going to be forced to tell more of our loved ones goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And most everybody has really nice things said about them at their memorial service.
Right.
And most of those things are probably true. But it's likely that the person that needed to hear that the most isn't there.
Right.
And I know it's important that we share stories afterwards for the purpose of healing and just to pay honor to a life that was well lived. And I think we owe that to them. But how much better would it be if we told them that while they were still here? Let them know the impact that they had, and what their legacy is. And so for me, I saw this on display towards our dad during the time that he was sick. And this was done so well by our guest. And I'd like to introduce you to our friend, Chris Phillips.
Hello.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming, and I'm really grateful that you took some time to be with us here today. And also really looking forward to the conversation. So what's up, buddy?
Not much. I want to congratulate both of you guys I'm your biggest fan of the podcast. So I watched every episode, and I'm really proud of you guys. It's a really good episode. I've cried a little bit in a few of them, and I've obviously laughed. The last episode was really funny. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you here. And so you're Anthony's best friend, and you know my husband pretty well. I don't know you as well. I just kind of know you through them. But as we were planning the episode, I was saying what I do know about Chris and what I appreciate about him is that I know he builds community among the guys. You're with the hiking group. You kind of keep everyone organized and get everyone together, and that's needed with a group of friends. Otherwise, the community doesn't happen if nobody plans it and brings everyone together. So I appreciate that about you, and just the friend that you are to Anthony. He shared with me when I talked to Chris, he's the friend that helps the world make sense, and I think that's just that's great and speaks really highly of you. So we're excited to have you here. Yeah.
It's very true. A very, very valuable perspective. And so one thing that it reminds me of before we go into a lighthearted segment is there's a verse in Proverbs 18, chapter 24. I know you guys know it. But this is what I think of when I think of Chris. A man of too many friends comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I've always felt that way about you. We're going to have Caitlin do a little bit of an interview sort of about how we got to know each other and everything else. But she had a couple unhinged icebreakers that she wanted to ask you before we go.
Yes, it's very important icebreaker questions just to get us all ready for actually interviewing. But could you tell us your best dad joke?
Well, of course. Okay. Why did the man fall into the well?
I don't know
Got
why.
me.
Because the man didn't see that well.
You do not disappoint. Nice
Thank you.
job.
Appreciate
Nice
that.
job.
Oh, that's good. Second question. What's a random conspiracy that you kind of believe?
I kind of believe that underneath the Denver International Airport is the headquarters of the Illuminati.
Yes.
So this is there's a lot of evidence for this. So you can look it up on YouTube.
All
But
right, say more.
well, one of the more interesting ones is now this isn't proof of the Illuminati, but it's proof of something going on there. There's a 30-something foot Mustang out in front of Denver International Airport. It has red eyes. It's blue. Its name is Blucifer by the Denver population. And when it was made, it actually, a part of it fell off, severed an artery of the sculptor and killed the sculptor.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's a rough
So
start.
that thing has blood on its hands.
It
That's
has blood on its
bad
hands.
omen. Yeah.
Well, but there's 5 stories underneath the Denver International Airport that's off limits to everyone else that no one has access to. There's a lot of noises going on down there. Is
there a documentary about this?
There's documentaries about it. There's YouTube videos at it. You guys should look into it, because if something goes south, we probably need to head to DIA and see if we can get in.
I am a serial researcher, and I can fall down a rabbit hole pretty easily. So that'll be fun.
That's quick,
one to fall down.
That was a good one. Were there any more icebreakers?
I think we'll just leave it there. We'll save those for another time.
Okay.
But we can
so
go
I'm
ahead
just
and move
going
on.
to do a quick bio on Chris. Chris is he's a husband. He's a father. He's an uncle. He's a grandfather. He's a brother. He's what do they call you? Poppy?
Poppy. I wanted OG, but I got Pop.
Okay.
I'm called Papa.
Papa. Okay.
Papa, yeah.
So obviously he fulfills a lot of roles in a lot of people's lives, and he's also a member of his community there, and serves the population in a healthcare type setting. So lots of hats to wear, and does a real good job with each of those roles, and also a friend to many. So anyway, I know Kate had some things that she wanted to share before she interviews us. So, or you, and then I'll make snide remarks.
Right. We're counting on it. When you shared that verse, it was making me think of, have you heard of John Ortberg? He's an author. I read his book, one of his books back in high school. It was called Everybody's Normal Till You Get to Know Them. And in that book, he talks about his view on community is that in each one of us, God made us with a human-shaped hole inside of us that even God himself won't fill. And it just talks about how we're meant to do life together. And that aspect is really valuable in our faith, to have community and to have those friends that are our chosen family. That's just what that made me think of. But anyway,
I like it.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's something I hadn't thought of before I read that, and now I find it to be so true. We need other people.
Very true. Very true. It's hard to do life without others.
Correct. So I will just launch in on the interview. All right. So I guess this is kind of for both of you, but how did you two meet?
You meet a tell. So
our stories will match.
Okay, yeah, they'll match. Well, pharmacy school is where we met. First day of pharmacy school. When I got into pharmacy school, I was a little bit anxious that the whole time I was going to be there, I wasn't going to relate to anyone, because I thought of myself at the time, and I think Anthony did too, is just primarily an athlete. I mean, I didn't think of myself as a student so much as an athlete. That's all I did is I played sports and I had fun. And I thought, great, I'm going to go into pharmacy school. There's going to be a lot of people that I don't relate to, and it's going to be a long 4 years. Well, the first day, maybe the second day, I remember this story, Anthony. We had a break and we were going to the student center, and we were going to kill, I don't know, it was like 30 minutes or so. And some people were playing basketball out front, and these weren't athletes. There were balls flying over the backboard. People couldn't dribble. And then I remember, and I was like, "Oh, great!" I remember seeing, and then I see Anthony get the ball and shoot. I was like, "Whoa, there's a coordinated guy. I bet I can get along with him." So I was really shallow. I'll admit that I was really shallow, but I immediately related to Anthony. It wasn't long after that we were roommates. Mm-hmm. It wasn't long after that we were best men in each other's wedding. It really was very easy to be friends right from the start. I hadn't been around someone really any time in my life that I related that closely to, and felt was he's probably the person that's the most like me in the world that I've ever met. He's closer to the way that I think than anyone else in the world. So we've always been very good friends ever since we met.
My memory of the first time that I knew that we were going to be pals was we all had to introduce ourselves first day or two of school, kind of a little biographical sketch, funny thing about me. I don't remember. And we loved our class. We had a really great class. But something that day when, you're looking around and trying to just find somebody because you're kind of lonely. Some of the people there knew one another from school before, but I knew not a soul. And so Chris does his little bio, and I don't remember what he said, but it was something kind of smart alecky, like a fun fact about me. And I was like, my man. And so, it was quick. It was our bromance blossomed early, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I remember I was younger, but we would come visit you guys at your apartment, and always a good time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
It was fun.
All right. So, if you want to kind of give us some of the background, Chris, to finding your faith, what was your life like growing up, and what was the catalyst for you seeking answers about Jesus? However you want to approach that.
I think that I'm a little. I don't know how. I didn't know how unique this was. I am a Christian now. I'm a devout Christian, but I wasn't most of my life. I wasn't in pharmacy school. My family is culturally Christian, I would say. I mean, we didn't certainly weren't open atheists, but I think that I was probably an atheist, a pretty strong atheist, through my late teens, early 20s. I just didn't see it. I mean, I did try to pray. I didn't connect with God. But I think more than anything, and I'm really ashamed of this now, but I would kind of mock Christians sometimes because I didn't see why they believed what they believed, and it seemed silly to me. Mm-hmm. So I know that sounds bad, especially talking to Christians now, and I don't like that about myself. But that's the way I believed. I was pretty firm about it, and I was pretty staunch about the fact that there's no proof of God. Mm. And so to become a Christian was a long journey, but that's how I was. And I wouldn't say that I do remember going to church, like to Easter and Christmas. I don't ever remember anyone in my family reading the Bible. We never had discussions of the Bible. I didn't know a thing about the Bible, although I did go to church a few times. And I think that there was also a little bit of animosity in my family towards Christians because of the hypocrisy that someone in my family would see about a Christian, saying they go to church, saying they do this, but then they would see them at the bars and stuff like that. And that was another thought that I had, that, this probably just isn't for me. It doesn't seem like it's real. And somehow,
I can say this too, Chris. One of the times that I remember, because I talked with you this weekend when we were talking about the show, and I don't remember trying to present the gospel to you. I remember listening to you and hearing you out. I think sometimes I remember telling you why I believed what I did, but it was more of like, I knew this bullheaded guy here. he's not going to respond well to me. And to be honest, I wasn't living life in the most upright Christian walk myself. And so, I didn't feel like Chris was going to be responsive to me trying to win him over to the Lord. We just talked about stuff and we tried to kind of understand, why each other believed what they did. And it was valuable to me too. So I think, just to kind of make it clear, like Chris, Chris wants to figure out things for himself. And I think you'll see that as a theme here that I really admire about how he ended up where he is, because it was a long road. We met 23 years ago, and life has changed a lot since then, but I think it's been mostly for the better. So I just wanted to kind of give that context of what it was like for me, when this guy that I knew he had all of the correct qualities in the world. He's an honest man. He serves others. He's conscientious. But making the commitment to the Lord, it just hadn't happened yet. And it's a neat story how he gets there too.
Right. So what was it that kind of made you search for some answers?
Well, in the background of all this would be, Kate, your family. I was around your family, obviously Anthony, but your dad a lot too. I was around you too. You were young at the time, but I was around you guys, and examples were a big deal. Looking back, examples were a big deal. At the time, they weren't. I didn't know they were a big deal. So examples were a big deal. But also, I guess some people call it the search for the truth and the answer to life's big questions. For me, there was not an answer in the way that I was living. There was no answers to these questions. I did get into philosophy. I did get into studying religions out of curiosity, but by far, the biggest influence on me becoming a Christian was I did understand, or I have heard of the relationship between, father and son in Christ, and then all in Christ and in the Lord, but also um, the relationship between Christ and me. Okay, so I did understand this idea, this concept, but what I'm getting to is when I had my first child, and it was overwhelming. That bond was just crazy. And something about that first bond with my child made me understand real easily, oh, that's what a father's love for the child is like. I didn't understand this. Now I get it. This is super powerful. And that had a big influence on me. And then also, as my children were young, again, as an atheist, I just didn't see a place to go where you could get understanding of morality or just how to be a decent person without, there was no place to go where that was the theme of the show, essentially. So I did take him to church. I wasn't a believer, but I thought that was a good thing to do. And then, I hear some messages. I start reading the Bible, and that was probably the biggest influence. Was probably having a child. Caring about someone other than myself was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, life-changing for sure.
I like that. It was fun remembering back to those times where Chris had this just thirst to learn, and it it was really humbling to me because here's him getting in the Word and trying to test the scriptures and trying to apply it to where it would make sense to him, from a very purposeful standpoint. He didn't get stopped in the middle of the road, with an angel telling him, hey, come to the Father. It was through reading the text, studying the text, questioning it, hearing his process of going through that at the time. You want to talk about, trying to get myself back in line. It was a big deal for me too.
Yeah. Did you guys have a lot of conversations about that during the process?
We did. I would go down to visit Chris and his family fairly often, especially, before before I had my son, we would spend a lot of time together and hours of conversation. And the conversations that you have, that we would have, were not like conversations I have with a lot of people. They were long and lots of depth, and looking at things from a philosophical standpoint. And I'm not a philosopher by any means, but I do enjoy trying to make sense of things. And so I can't think of anything that really jumps out on its own. But I remember being an observer to the process, and
right, you had a front row seat to this process. Nice.
Yep.
It did help because each year, Anthony and I and some other friends, how long now? Maybe 20, I guess it's been 20 years. Every single year we'll go to Colorado and we'll hike mountains together. But the trip down, it's a 10, 12, 13-hour trip down and back. We talk the entire time. And I'll get on a question, I don't know if you remember the baptism question, but when Bill was doing his best to, but it was if you don't, the general question was, well, if it's not required to be saved, then why do you do it? And we won't get into that, but it was we talked the whole way down. We looked up verses. Another trip we went on to, we had the question. This is Clint was with us here. We were going to a St. Louis Cardinals game, and we were trying to find out. What were we trying to find out?
And we were trying to figure out how the rest of the world came about after Adam and Eve.
Yeah. I mean,
the Cain and Abel, and then there must have been other people.
Yeah.
I remember like trying to figure that out at one point. Also, we talked about it in a class one time. So yeah.
Oh boy,
lots of theories.
After we landed on the explanation, we all felt a little foolish. Anyway,
but that time together is really meaningful because we get deep into those questions, and we're not afraid to ask any question. Nothing's out of bounds. We ask and we try to figure it out together. So it's really a good process we go through. I love these guys that we go with.
It's like a revival.
I love
in
that.
Nature.
Like you can, ask anything. You're honestly seeking and trying to find the truth, and that's awesome.
So, Chris, I'm going to ask you a question here now, because you had talked to me about this before it was really. Before on your heart, you felt like something needed to be said, so you'd kind of give me a heads up. But I wanted you in your own words to talk about how Wild Bill Richey influenced your approach to being a father.
Yeah, that's a good topic. He's in multiple ways. I was around Bill a lot on these trips. These trips were real meaningful. We spent a lot of time together, and I'd spend time with him, when he'd come down to see Anthony. And Kate, you brought this up a while ago, and this is a really, really meaningful moment in my life. You guys, the whole family came down and stayed at Anthony's apartment, and we cooked out that day. And my family was not affectionate on the male side. Like, we don't tell each other we love each other. We might pat each other on the back, and that's about it. But I walk into the apartment, and Bill, he's hugging on you girls, and he goes up to Anthony and gives him a big old hug and a kiss on the cheek. And my mouth drops. I'm like, what is going on here?
I remember you're like, that is weird.
That's weird. I don't know.
Are these guys in a cult? What is happening?
Well, to this day, the impact that one moment had, of course, he for years he would do it. He would hug on Anthony, but the impact that had on me was massive. There's not anytime I see my kids now, I've had 4 kids. Anytime I see my kids, I tell them I love them. I hug them. I'm incredibly affectionate to them. I wasn't raised that way. And it's because of Bill. It's because that example that he put out. I'm not afraid to kiss my youngest son. He's pretty affectionate too. Both my sons are, but I'm not afraid to kiss him on the cheek when I'm hugging him. I do it all the time. And I have a funny feeling that my kids will likely do that to their kids. And that is a big impact. That's a massive impact. There's no way Bill knew that him running up and hugging Anthony, giving him a kiss on the cheek would have that impact on me. but it does. And it spreads, and it's going to keep spreading. That moment was really impactful for me. When Bill was sick, and at this time I was a believing Christian. I had a close relationship with Christ, and I believed really deep into his illness, probably beyond what's rational, that any day he could be cured from it, that God would heal him. I never gave up on that idea until deep in. But there was a moment, and Anthony and I talked about that moment. We're like, okay, well, God's plan's different. He's probably not going to be with us a lot longer. And we made a commitment, me and four other guys that had something to say to Bill. We got up on a Sunday morning, drove all the way up to meet him, and I told him that story. I told him that I learned how to love my son and my kids from him. That's where I learned it. I didn't know how to do that. And it was natural for me. It was very natural for me. I just didn't know it. So I went all the way down there to tell him that. And then the others had something to tell him also. So it was really impactful.
Yeah. And Chris shared that information with me well in advance of when we had that visit.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the key of what we kind of introduced the episode with is, Chris told me, he said, "Hey, I'm going to need you to give me a heads up when you think the time is right." Because, I will be honest, Chris didn't want to have that conversation with Dad because he felt like he was telling him goodbye.
Right.
And I can certainly see that. But I still think he followed through and he did it prior to him not being able to have the chance to tell him that. And knowing when Chris told me that, it did help me have some peace because I did spend a lot of time with Dad at doctor's appointments, and we were very hopeful as long as we could possibly be. And again, we didn't admit defeat or anything like that. It was more of, we're going to accept this reality. And I called Chris and I said, "Hey, I think it's time." And he was like, "Let's do it this weekend." And so really a testament to the type of man that Chris is. And I just think it's awesome that you're willing to tell this story where other people are going to hear it. I think it's courageous, truthfully, because it's hard to put yourself out there and share some of those things that are deep truths. You feel exposed, and I truly appreciate you doing that, Chris.
Yeah. There's an incredible power in being vulnerable and showing those emotions. I had written notes earlier and skipped over it, but when men show healthy community and healthy emotion and love for one another, I just want to stand up and cheer because you don't see that so often. And I remember Dad, when he would be on the phone with his friends, he would tell them bye by saying, "Love you, buddy." And I love that I got to see that, and it's impacted both of you in a really amazing way. And so just sharing that and showing, the love that just, it grows, it multiplies based on these relationships that we have.
Anthony, I do want to tell you this too. I tell a lot of people now that I love them, that are my friends, because you tell me that. You tell me that. Yeah, and I did think that was weird at first. It's like, wait, well, no, you're my age. You can't love, you don't love me, but you do. You tell me you love me.
You
We
said,
tell each
"I
other we
enjoy
love each
spending
other.
time with you too."
Did you say thank you the first time he said, "I love you"?
So, yeah.
Big gulps, huh?
All right, that's cool.
Well, see you later.
It's funny. It's good.
I'll probably tell too many people I love them now because
I don't
of you,
think so.
Anthony.
I don't think that's possible.
Can't tell too many people you love them.
No.
Well,
I
If
used
that's
to
the
work.
worst thing about you, you're doing all right.
I used to work with a pharmacy tech, and she was hilarious. And she used to joke around whenever she'd be on the phone with somebody that she wasn't that close with, that she would have this conversation with herself. "Don't say I love you. Don't say I love you."
I have almost told many receptionists that I love them, and I caught myself before, like, "Oh, I don't actually know you."
Yeah. Yeah, we do love everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Where were we?
How do we? What do we?
Oh boy. Okay. So looking back on the way you've grown through life and the impact that others have had on you, what do you hope that your legacy is that you leave for your kids, your family, and your friends?
It's, through Christ learning this, but it's love. It's what we've already been talking about. Don't be afraid to love people. Don't be afraid to tell them you love them. That's powerful.
Mhm.
Bill, Anthony have both set that example for me. And it feels really good. And I think that's the legacy that I'd like to leave. Um, um, I think that's probably the biggest legacy I'd like to leave is that I did love people
Mhm.
and that they will love people because I love them. And that's the example Christ has set for us. And that's probably the biggest gift. That's one of the biggest gifts I've got from my journey through Christianity was just being open to that idea.
For
I
sure.
think you're doing just that, Chris.
Hmm.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. And I think your kids are going to, we look at God, through the lens of our earthly father, and that can be either a really positive thing or a really negative thing, depending on that relationship. And um, so for your kids to have that love from you and that affection, and also your friends and other people in your lives, that does affect how these young people see God. And I'm glad that they're seeing God's love in a good way through you.
Thank you.
Very
All
cool.
right.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So Anthony, in the spirit of sharing what people mean to us, is there anything that you want to say to Chris about his influence on your life?
Yes, I had to make a list because I knew I'd lose my way. So I'm going to look down a little bit here. But Chris, I admire how well you perform all of the roles that God has entrusted you to be in all of our lives. We named off a lot of those roles, but I would say for sure I have seen you demonstrate generosity and kindness to everyone that you meet. I'm thankful that I have a friend that is designed that way. I'm thankful for everybody in your life that is a recipient of that. I love that you serve and protect the vulnerable. You laugh in the face of hardships and are never afraid to make yourself the butt of a joke to get others to smile. You've been a true friend to me through so many of life's ups and downs. But after all of these years, the thing I am most thankful to you for is your testimony. Because of that, I examined my own faith. In a lot of ways, I know I've told Caitlin this before too, but I think I kind of rode the coattails of my parents. And there was a time where I'm like, do I actually even believe I just grew up in church? Like, do I have any faith that's battle tested? But because of you going on the journey the way you did, I examined myself, and, went through, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a deconstruction, but maybe a little bit of, I actually probably need to find a foundation that I know for myself is true and know that in my heart. By testing the word myself, by testing the word with valued mentors and spiritual people like yourself. And that's really just due to your example and who you are. So for that, I'm forever grateful to you, and I'm proud to call you my friend.
Thank you.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too. That is something that I did not know. I didn't know that. I thought I've been on this struggle for decades really to find a strong faith, but I didn't know that would affect you. It was the other way around for me. I saw examples that your family set, and I was like, I really look up to that. I aspire to be that. And ironically, we were both inspiring each other and didn't know it till we
Mm-hmm.
talked about it. But yeah,
Yeah. And
It's that
very recently.
iron sharpening iron, guys. That's what it is.
Oh, man. Well, I think we're doing a good job on time. So do we want to go ahead and kick off Accidentally Spiritual? Is there anything else that we should go back through or?
Well, I just wanted to ask if there's anything else that you wanted to share. I know we kind of blasted through those questions, and I didn't know if we missed anything or if we're just ready to move it along.
I do have one more real powerful example that was set by your
Yes,
family, was set by your
please.
dad, and you shared it on a previous podcast. But the strength that Bill had in the moment, in one of the most tragic moments of you guys' life, when you found out, the path your mom was going to go on, the strength that it took in that moment to not be angry. But it's almost like the training that he's put himself through in Christ, and reading and Bible studies and discussions all led up to that moment, to where he gathered you guys and directed not towards your energy towards anger, but directed your energy to Christ in that moment. It was just incredible. I mean, that story is very, very powerful. And it's very powerful to me as a, a leader of a family, that, man, I'm a long way from that. I don't know that I would do that, but that example is very, very powerful that you guys shared. And it's something that I'll never forget. And it's something that kind of is in the background of me when I study, or when I'm training. Can I do that?
Mhm.
Can I be that faithful and that spiritual and that powerful to do something that strong? And I don't know that I can today. But it is something that I would shoot for. But I do want to share that while we're talking about Bill, because that's very powerful too.
He said something one time. I'm glad you brought that up, because he said something, it's real easy to do what's right when things are going well. It's much more difficult, and also much more important, to make good choices and do things right when things are not going your way.
Mhm.
And I think he did have an awareness that he still found the strength, but I think he truly had an awareness that, like, people notice if your faith holds up through those times or not.
Mhm.
And he was cognizant of that. It
Right.
didn't just happen. He was very well aware.
Yeah.
Anthony, do you remember towards the end with Dad, and he was talking about, I do not have the reference off the top of my head, but he was talking about when a lot of disciples abandon Jesus, and Jesus looks to his closest ones and says, "Are you going to leave me too?" And that disciple, I think it was Peter. It may have been Peter or John. They said, "Lord, where else are we going to go?"
Yep.
And Dad said that's kind of where he was at. Like, what else is there when
Mhm.
everything is stripped away and everything is gone? Where else are you going to turn but to Jesus? And
Amen.
that's how he lived.
Yep.
And we can only hope that we that we can do that in the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice unexpected segment there. Thanks, guys.
We almost made it through without crying. So close. Oh boy.
Okay, well, this is a recurring segment on the show. Accidentally Spiritual. We're going to have Chris do one with us too. So who wants to go first?
I'm going to nominate Chris.
Okay.
All right,
I'll go
Chris,
first.
you're up.
So there is this. It's a famous poet / philosopher. His name is John Pardee.
Ha ha.
Yes.
Oh,
Touche.
Pardee.
Fancy.
Yeah. So this, since we're, discussing Bill quite a bit, sometimes you'll listen to a song, it'll just hit you just right. But this song, this was back when he was ill. But I heard this song, and it's just a country song, but it struck me and it reminded me of him a lot. I'm gonna read it to you real quick. I'm gonna read the lyrics here that make me relate to him. It says, "To the good." That's the name of this. The name of the song is called "Starlight." To the good that die young, fighters for the freedom fought that keep me free, and the heroes in my heart, which Bill is one of those for me, who taught me to believe, and that's why I believe in things I can't see. Shining down on me, showing me the way, angel in the night, here to save the day. And that immediately, when I heard those, struck me, immediately made me think of, so it's accidentally spiritual because it's just a country song. So.
That's
I've
exactly what we're looking for.
So many country songs that are accidentally spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
That's
it's
sweet.
great.
Mine's kind of silly, but also it was really powerful. So my partner at work, she has a stepdaughter that's 7 years old and just never met a stranger. Such a sweet, sweet young lady. And she's really close to my partner. So they talk a lot, and she's just a funny kid. But she was kind of troubled the other day because she told Melissa, she said, Liz, she said, I've been praying to Jesus every night, because he's kind of like a genie, and you can ask him for things, and sometimes he'll give those to you. She said, I've been praying to Jesus every night to help Dad stop watching law and crime shows. It hasn't worked yet, but I'm going to keep asking. And I guess the story was she, it's a show where people are getting arrested, and it makes her nervous, and she's, sees them getting tackled and handcuffed, and it doesn't set her spirit right. So she'd actually had a couple bad dreams about it. And so that was her way of, communicating, like, I don't like what's going on, so I'm going to ask Jesus. And my partner, she's like, well, I think that's great, but we could also talk to your dad. And so he's not going to watch Law and Crime anymore. But I thought it was funny because she's like, it hasn't worked yet, but I'm
she's
just going to
persevere.
keep asking.
Yeah. That's great.
And that's why Jesus loves the little children.
Oh, man. That reminds me of something Jules said in the car earlier. She's been so full of questions lately, and like lots of questions about heaven and death and life. And she was asking me something that I don't remember what it was. And she goes, I just don't understand how life works. I was like, none of us do. I said, I know it's really confusing. You'll learn more as you get older. Like it just is hard to understand how life works, especially for, a 4-year-old. But
that is awesome.
Good. I don't know as a 40-year-old if I'm any better, but
no,
doing my best.
She's in good company.
Yeah. I was like, I am ill-equipped to guide you. That's what I feel like.
Oh, that's good. Did you have one for this week, Kate?
I did. Yeah. So we talked about how we can get really down with how the state of the world is right now, and it feels like everything is terrible. But I was not going to bed the other night, and I fell down a rabbit hole of songs from Les Miserables, which is one of my favorite musicals. And I was just standing in the bathroom brushing my teeth, watching YouTube videos, and the song "Do You Hear the People Sing" is one of my favorites. And I see this video that says 17 Valjeans sing "Do You Hear the People Sing." And so I click on it, and it's from the 10-year anniversary concert of Les Mis, which was in 1996. So it's an old video.
Recent.
Yeah. So it has all of these men who play Jean Valjean, who's the lead character. They come in this auditorium, and they're carrying the flags of their country, like the Olympic parade. And they all come on the stage, and they each sing a line of the song "Do You Hear the People Sing" in their native language. And I'm just sitting there with my toothbrush hanging out of my mouth, just like, this is so amazing and heartwarming that this thing has brought these different people, different cultures, different languages together. And just, I don't know, I was just astonished and heartwarmed that the power of something to bring people together. And it made me think of the global church, that God does not sit in our little box like he wants us to, or like we want him to sometimes. He is for all people, for all nations, for all cultures, and just the unification of that. I don't know. I was encouraged by it.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah,
that's great.
I want to listen to it.
It was so good. I was just crying and just feeling like there is hope in the world. And we have it.
There is.
It's good.
There is indeed. Well, I think I just want to say one last time, thank you to you both, especially Chris, for taking some time out of your schedule. And I think just a reminder, let's take care of each other, look out for your neighbor, and just stay on alert. And I think I want to tell you both that I love you, and I enjoyed it. It was a fun episode. I'm really looking forward to getting into the editing, and we'll try to get this out as soon as we can. I love you guys.
Okay. Love you guys too.
Love you guys. Thanks for being with us, Chris.